Hello and welcome to another episode of #DisruptionDialogues, a Markets and Markets podcast series for growth-minded strategy, market intelligence, and competitive intelligence professionals.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Disruption Dialogues. I am Pranjal Sharma. I'm an author based in New Delhi, India, and I'm in discussion today with Eric Chalengeas. He's a regional vice president, South Europe at Rockwell Automation. Thanks for being with us, Eric.
Hi, Pranjal. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I hope we'll have a great time today.
It's a very important discussion today, and it's an issue of critical importance to the manufacturing industry specifically, but we will talk about industrial cybersecurity and automation industry. And I think we have to understand what it means. There is manufacturing, there's security, there is automation. So there are 3 or 4 very important themes which are embedded in this topic. So Eric, I'll begin by requesting you to tell us, what does this even mean?
Yeah, as you said, you have many faces to cybersecurity, but Rockwell, by the way, as a manufacturer, we're attacked regularly now by third parties, and then we may lose days or weeks of production. We may have to pay ransoms, and you see every week in the news new events happening. So cybersecurity is not an option anymore. It's not a nice to have, like it may have seen some earlier, more an IT or a consumer type of threat. It's really happening to us manufacturers. And it's very critical to business continuity and to our own performance, financial performance. So my own definition is it's a company posture. It's a way to design your operations and to operate them securely across cyber-safe infrastructure, cyber-safe assets, with cyber-resilient 24/7 processes, and in my opinion, more importantly, by embarking everybody, all employees, on the journey to have a cyber-safe posture and make sure that they don't click on this email, which will bring in the Trojan horse into your old system.
Eric, my question to you is that, is it that today, because automation is now a very important part of manufacturing in the industrial process, cybersecurity is even more important because the entire assembly line seems to be connected. There are sensors everywhere. The industrial IoT also is a very significant presence. Has that made the challenge of protecting the assembly line a much bigger issue?
Yeah, it's a great question, Pranjal. If we go at the root cause of the disruption, what's happening today, it's all coming from digital transformation at the end. And everything you mentioned is coming from using new tools, new ways to generate more productivity through IoT, through software, through automation. And in a post-COVID environment, where everything is so unstable, the supply chain is still very much disrupted for manufacturers. We have a shortage of manpower. People are working remotely, and if you want to continue driving productivity at all levels of the company, you need to transform yourself digitally. And what's new here is basically the availability of software and of new ways to drive probability. So softwares can be, they can be on premise, which we used to have before, very much contained, so you're in your own world, you manage your own risk internally, but very much now they are becoming more and more cloud connected, which means that we are creating more and more connections between the shop floor, isolated factory, and the rest of the world. Rockwell delivers now also those cloud native softwares for manufacturing execution systems like Plex, or for maintenance management system like Fix. So we are very much also evolving our own ways to serve our customers with that, and we have to evolve also as a company to manage what's the consequence of it: more risk of attacks. And so if you speak to a C-level nowadays, whenever I have those conversations, what's really important for you, they all say, okay, I need to transform myself digitally to reap those benefits, but then to enable the digital transformation, I need to be cyber secure. I mean, I cannot live with the risk of having somebody tampering with my systems and ripping me apart. So cybersecurity is the number one enabler for digital transformation. So it has become, it's a must. It's we have to do it, and it's so sooner the better to enable digital transformation.
So how is the cybersecurity for industrial automation? Is it different from cybersecurity for any other sector?
I believe so. I believe so, because industrial automation is a lot of disparate assets that are assembled, into a factory. It's coming from many different manufacturers. It's coming and it's in operation for dozens of years, 20 plus 30 years. So if you go to any shop floor today, which has not been built last year, it's a collection of assets which have never been thought to be super secure, and you cannot revamp it. In my opinion, in a sandbox, in an IT safe environment. It's real-time shop floor with people, with products being operated. So it's very difficult as well to update and upgrade this while you continue delivering and producing. So I think it's my opinion, and excuse me if I'm oversimplifying here, Pranjal, in my opinion, it's much more difficult to basically bring an operation technology environment, a shop floor, into a cybersecure state.
I think you're referring to a very important issue. It's not just about the manufacturing, but it's the entire value chain. I think that is important because from the raw materials to the manufacturing to the warehouse management, I think the product, whatever it may be, has to be protected through its entire value chain. And therefore, I think it is important that different players come together, you have a common platform, and therefore a lot of collaborative expertise is required. Is that how you are approaching this at Rockwell?
It's one way, Pranjal, and to collaborate, you need to work on the same standards, for example. So our entire legacy offering has been upgraded to the IEC 62433 standards, which is the international standard for cybersecurity. So we are embedding cybersecurity into our controllers, our networks, our field assets. And at the same time, we are creating a suite of softwares to manage cybersecurity. So we are launching a factory talk policy manager, for example. So cybersecurity is becoming front and center in our, let's say, legacy offering. But at the same time, as we are connecting more and more to the IT space, we have to collaborate with our, IT colleagues from the ERP world, from the supply chain, upstream and downstream to manufacturing. So we have recruited a number of experts into our services division to basically being able to upgrade and deliver new architectures and new ways to work, including the entire ecosystem around us. So pretty much it's a big yes, Pranjal. It's very much necessary.
Give us some examples, Eric, of some of the work that Rockwell has done. Any case studies that you could mention, perhaps a problem that was posed to you by a client and how you solved it?
With pleasure. Great question again. So I would like to mention that cybersecurity is not new, by the way. It's maybe a new word we are using, but we used to be speaking about robust operations environments before, and it was all around the networking. It was all around having a secure networking. So, for example, with Cisco, we designed already 10 years ago what we call converged plant-wide Ethernet. So it's a cyber secure architecture to make sure that we isolate critical areas at the shop floor and between the shop floor and the rest of the world. And we delivered that type of basically cyber secure networking environment to dozens of very large global players. I can think about some in the pharma industry. Probably number 1 and 2 are on Rockwell and Cisco together. Recently, also a very large food and bev customer from a country very close to me has contracted us to assess basically the network. and remediate, on where we should. So it's an ongoing topic. The network being the foundation of everything else, to have the data flowing. It's an ongoing topic at every large corporation. Something else we are doing, and we have been doing it for probably 5+ years, is instead of having disparate PC stations, with legacy systems, very old Windows or even DOS or whatever, from a lot of legacy old systems which are here and there everywhere in the shop floor, we've designed a complete offering around industrial data center. So we assess, the shop floor, and we will then create an industrial data center, which will be a unique cabinet with servers inside. We do that with Stratus, a big partner of us, and then we will migrate all those disparate assets, which used to be completely insecure because anybody can type in, put a USB key, whatever you want, and will be into a safe, completely contained industrial data center. And we have done this also hundreds of times. So it's, I cannot name how many customers have moved into that. And those are the foundations, if you wish, of how you have a cybersecure infrastructure, network, industrial data centers. But then it's not enough, What we have done recently is we acquired 2 companies, one in Spain called Oilo and one in Israel called Avnet. And with those 2 companies, we've basically acquired the complete cybersecurity skill set. Hundreds of people have joined Rockwell, and we created a cybersecurity practice or managed services division, if you wish. And thanks to those experts who are native cybersecurity experts, we're able to offer now a complete range of services on top of the legacy service we had before. So one of the service we do, we act as a system integrator, if you wish, is basically to install in an OT environment what we call threat detection systems. So, in OT, very often the manufacturer does not even know what he has. The assets are so many and so disparate, nobody knows. And so the threat can come in from many different entry points, if you wish. So thanks to our partner, Clarity, we have partnered to implement those threat detection systems. It's a very nimble, small software that will crawl into the OT environment and will be able to completely map the assets and then establish a baseline, and then you can see if something is happening different from the baseline. And immediately, an operator can see, okay, is it legit or is it really somebody trying to tamper with my systems? So it's a very popular service. We have huge growth with utilities, for example, where you have a lot, of remote assets, and you cannot have people on site all the time. Far from it. In water, in electrical utilities, for example, very popular. Gas as well. Lately, an auto, a tier 1 supplier, a very big one. Also contracting us to install another software solution. It's called a Secure Remote Access. Now we work more and more remotely. A company wants to take the data up in a cloud, digest it into a business intelligence solution. So it's very important to be able to basically connect securely to your assets and to your plants. So we are also implementing, and having global rollouts of what we call secure remote access solution. And again, it's done with Clarity, our partner. And then I would like to mention a very big one, which is, in my opinion, the very high end of what we can offer today. Is we have a company out there in Switzerland from the personal care environment who has entrusted us with the 24/7 monitoring of their assets, of their different factories. So we have built a secure operations center in Israel where we have Rockwell employees are monitoring 24/7 the full network and operation infrastructure of this company, and we are able to immediately adjust real time if we see something suspicious. We're able to contact the customer and ask them to take immediately the right remediation measures. And at worst, if by the worst chance, still a cyber attack would have occurred, we would be able to isolate and to immediately go back to previous state. And we have the recovery services available. So I would say, in a nutshell, we have now completely built a full cyber secure solution based on our technology and all the services around it. And in a nutshell, we are able to assess, to implement, and to maintain cybersecurity across plants, assets, and working with existing vendors and machine builders. By the way, it's a continuum, and we do this by being agnostic. So it's not on Rockwell only. That can be done at any plant with any legacy equipment.
Eric, that's very exciting to see. I want to come to the final point of our discussion. What is the main disruption that you see which will happen now, or you think it's going to happen in the future? Because companies will have to change the way they think about industrial cybersecurity. Right now a lot of the work is on existing plants, and they're trying to improve cybersecurity in that. But perhaps in the future, a new plant design itself will be done in a completely new way. So as an expert and a person with a lot of experience, Eric, what do you see the main disruptions that would happen in the near future?
In OT, Pranjal, I'm thinking at the same time about your great question, because in OT, I don't know if we can speak about disruption. It's a very slow evolving environment because the assets are very expensive, as you know, and they are built to operate for dozens of years. So I have not seen really disruption happening. It's rather an evolution over time. And you're right. When a customer of ours is building a new factory from scratch, we implement the best-in-class solution and services immediately from day one, and it looks completely different from an older plant. It's fully digitally enabled from day one. So that could be a disruption rather within a manufacturer, because they have to operate then legacy assets who are really old and working more isolated and with a lot of cyber I would say gaps, and then this new one with state of the art and operating to peak performance and safe performance. So, but it's great because it will help them to have a great benchmark and evolve. But then if I think then out of the disruption, which is also a buzzword, I think what's going to happen is that every company, they have to embark on this digital journey, which means to embark on a cybersecurity journey. There is no choice about it, and I'm calling that a journey because it's. When you have those old assets, it takes time to assess, to put a plan together, and then to implement the plan step by step. Because again, it's expensive, but you cannot disturb operations. You need to maintain operations ongoing. So it's going to take years to basically bring any old company to the right level of cybersecurity. And then once you are at a really decent level of cybersecurity, you need to maintain it because there are attacks all the time. It never stops. There are new threats being evolved. You have new groups developing new ways to try to make money by attacking us manufacturers. So it never stops. When I'm thinking how to do that in a best way, because it's difficult for our customers in any industry. It can be in a food and bev or in the oil and gas. It's very, very difficult to do. And there is a sense of urgency, and the board of directors are all asking, what do you do? And are we secure? Can you guarantee my operations will not stop? And so on and so forth. So my number one advice to those customers is work with somebody who knows your industry, somebody who knows your process, Pranjal. You have many people who claim to be cybersecurity experts. I have to say that from my point of view, they are usually experts in IT world, cybersecurity from the IT, because that's where it was born. And that's, but it's a very different thing to understand IT and to understand OT, all those legacy assets which are from different protocols, different generations, different from vendors. It's a totally different ball game in my opinion. So my number one advice is work with somebody who really understands your operational environment. You may have great reports about what to do from IT players, but you may not have the how to do it, and that's where the I would say more traditional automation vendors have really an edge because they know how the plant was born and how to operate it in a safe way. And then I cannot stress how urgent it is to start, Pranjal, because without that you cannot reap the benefit of the digital transformation. So I think it's no more a must to have, as I was saying before. It's no more a nice to have. Sorry, it's really a must have nowadays. And yeah, reach out, and we'll be happy to help you embark on the journey.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for sharing this with us in this discussion.
My great pleasure. Have a good day.
For all of you who were listening, thanks for joining in. I was in conversation with Eric Chalengeas. He's the Regional Vice President of South Europe at Rockwell Automation. And stay tuned for more such interesting episodes and conversations on Disruption Dialogues.
Thank you for listening to #Disruption Dialogues. If you are a strategy or market intelligence professional, we invite you to join our community on LinkedIn #Disruption Dialogues.